What do you mean by the term normal distribution? Normal distribution, also known as Gaussian distribution, is a type of probability distribution that is symmetric about the mean. Here, mean, median and mode are equal. Normal distribution appears to be bell curve in a graphical form. So here, you can see this graph. This graph is symmetry and also mean, median and mode are equal. So now, let's move forward. So the next question we are having is, what is a skewed distribution? A skewed distribution takes place when one tail is longer than the other. Skewness defines the asymmetry of a distribution. Here, the data is not distributed equally on both sides of the distribution's peak. So basically, there are different types of skewed distribution. The first one is the left skewed distribution and the another one is the right skewed distribution. So in left skewed distribution, it occurs when the long tail is on the left side of the distribution. That means here the mean is left to the peak and also mean is less than the median and the median is less than the mode. Along with that, left skewed distribution is also known as negatively skewed distribution. Coming to the right skewed distribution, it occurs when the long tail is on the right side of the distribution. It is also called as positive skewed distribution. Here the mean is right to the peak and also mode is greater than median and median is greater than mean. Now, so let's see in the graphical form. Here you can see that this is a graph of left skewed, right? So clearly mode is greater than median and median is greater than the mean. So now let's see left and right skewed distribution in graphical form. So here you can see that it's a left skewed graph, right? Because the long tail is on the left side of distribution. Whereas if you are talking about the right skewed distribution, the long tail is on the right side of the distribution. In a left skewed, you can clearly see that mode is greater than median and median is greater than mean. Similarly, coming to the right skewed, here mean is greater than median and median is greater than mode. Now, moving ahead, the next question we are having, what is the difference between bias and variance? Coming to the bias, bias is a prediction error that is introduced in the model due to oversimplifying the machine learning algorithm. It is the difference between the predicted values and the actual values. So let's suppose you have created a machine learning model. So while creating a machine learning model, we'll get some predicted values. So basically, the difference between the actual values and the predicted values is known as the bias. Now, coming to the variance, variance occurs when the machine learning model performs well on the training dataset but not on the test dataset. So now, moving to the next question, how will you handle missing values in data? So there are several ways to handle missing values in the given data. The first one is you can replace the values with mean, median and mode. For example, let's suppose if you are having any numerical column of let's say price and there are a lot of missing values, then you can replace it with the mean. Now, moving next, we are having the dropping the values. So let's suppose if you are having any column that is present in the data set and the null values are present more than 70%, then you can drop that particular column. The last is replacing with arbitrary values. So that means you can choose a random value without any reason or system. So the next question we are having is, what are the techniques used to detect outliers? So there are various techniques that are used to detect outliers. The first one is the box plot. So talking about the box plot, we know the length of the box is IQR, that is nothing but an interquartile range, right? And the minimum and maximum values are represented by the whiskers. So the whiskers are generally extended into 1.5 times of the IQR distance on either side of the box. Therefore, all the data points outside this range, values are flagged as outliers. So the next technique that is used as Z-score. So Z-score is a parametric outlier detection method in a one or low dimensional feature space. This technique assumes a Gaussian distribution of the data. The outliers are the data points that are in the tails of the distribution and therefore far from the mean. So the last method that we are having is interquartile range. As we know, the formula of interquartile range is that it is quartile 3 minus quartile 1. Basically, it is the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile. So to detect the outliers using this method, we define a new range. So let's call it decision range, and any data point lying outside this range is considered as outlier and is accordingly tailed with. So the next question we are having is, what is the difference between overfitting versus underfitting? As we know that overfitting and underfitting are the two key problems in machine learning that decrease the performance of machine learning models. Now, coming to the overfitting occurs when our machine learning model attempts to cover all or more than the required number of data points in the given dataset. So you can see that in this graph, our machine learning model tries to cover all the data points, right? So now, what happens here as a result? The model gives inaccurate values in the dataset, and all of these factors reduce the model efficiency and accuracy. The overfitted model has low bias and high variance. The more we train our model, the more likely it is to become overfitted. Told you can see in this graph, the model tries to cover all the data points. So it looks efficient, but in reality, it is not so. Because the goal of the regression model is to find the best fit line. But here, we have not got any best fit, so it will generate the prediction error. So now, let's see how we can avoid the overfitting in models. So there are some ways by which we can reduce the occurrence of overfitting in our models. The first one is the cross-validation. Second, we are having training with more data. So whatever the data is there, we can train it, right? So there are some ways by which we can reduce the occurrence of overfitting in our model. So let's see some of the ways. The first one is the cross-validation. We can also train with more data. Then we can remove features too. We can early stopping the training too. Along with that, we can also apply regularization as well as ensembling. Now, after knowing what is overfitting, now let's see what is underfitting. So underfitting occurs when our machine learning model is unable to capture the underlying trend. So to avoid overfitting in the model, the feeding of the training data can be stopped at an early stage, causing the model to learn insufficiently from the training data. As a result, it may fail to find the best fit of the data's dominant trend. Underfitting occurs when the model is unable to learn enough from the training data, reducing accuracy and producing unreliable predictions. So let's back to the previous slide. So in underfitting, a model that is underfitted has a high bias and a low variance. For example, the following output of the linear regression model can help you understand about the underfitting. So here you can see that the model is unable to capture the data points in the plot, right? So now let's see how we can avoid underfitting in the model. So there are two ways in which we can avoid the underfitting in model. The first one is increase the model's training time, and the another one is the increasing the number of features. Okay guys, so the next question we are having is, what is the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning? Supervised learning is a machine learning method that uses labeled data to train models. For example, here you can see that how a player learns in the presence of his coach. So this is an example of supervised learning. Now, there are two types of problems that can be solved using supervised learning. The first one is the classification and the another one is the regression. So let me give you the example so that you can understand, right? So let's suppose we have an image of different types of cars. The task of our supervised learning model is to identify the cars and classify them accordingly. So to identify the image in supervised learning, we will give the input data as well as the output for that, which means we will train the model by the shape, size, color of each car. Once the training is completed, we will test the model by giving the new sets of cars. The model will identify the car and predict the output using a suitable algorithm. So there are different types of supervised learning: linear regression, logistic regression, random forest, decision tree, etc. So now, after understanding supervised learning, let's see what is unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning seeks to extract structure and patterns from the input data. It requires no supervision like supervised learning. Instead, it discovers pattern in the data on its own. Unsupervised learning can be used for two types of problems. The first one is the clustering and the another one is the association. Here you can see that in this figure, you can see that the model will train itself and divide the groups according to the most similar features between them. So let's take an example. So here we'll not provide any supervision to the model. We'll just provide the input data set to the model and allow the model to find the patterns from the data. With the help of a suitable algorithm, the model will train itself and divide the cars into different groups according to the most similar features between them. So the next question is, what is the difference between regression versus classification? The regression algorithms are used to predict the continuous values. Regression is a process of determining correlations between dependent and independent variables. For example, price, salary, etc. I'll give you the example of price versus experience. So let's understand by taking some examples. So let's suppose I am having a data set which consists of one dependent variable and one independent variable. So the independent variable contains the years of experience, whereas the dependent variable contains salary. So as we know that as the experience of a person increases, the salary will also increase. So this is the example of the linear regression. So there are different types of regression algorithm: simple linear regression, multiple linear regression, polynomial regression, support vector regression, decision tree, random forest. Now, talking about classification algorithms are used to predict or classify discrete values. For example, male and female, true or false. Even you can take the example of male, whether the male is a spam male or not spam male, right? So let me explain you how does classification work. So let's suppose a computer program is trained on the training dataset, then it will categorize the data into different classes based on that training. Different types of classification algorithms are logistic regression, k-nearest neighbors, support vector machine, and kernel SVM. So guys, let's move further and see what is confusion matrix. So the confusion matrix is a table that used to estimate the performance of a model. It tabulates the actual values and the predicted values into a 2x2 matrix. So now, let's see what is true positive here. So let me give you the definition of true positive. True positive denotes all those records where the actual values are true and the predicted values are true, right? So here you can see that the actual value is 1 and the predicted value is 1, and we got here true positive. Now, coming to the false negative, this denotes all of those records where the actual values are true but the predicted values are false. So you can see that this is false negative, where the actual value was 1 whereas the predicted value was 0. Next, we are having false positive. So in this, the actual values are false but the predicted values are true. So this is our false positive, where the actual value is false. So we are considering false as 0 and true as 1, right? So here we can see that the actual value was false and the predicted value was true, right? So after understanding true positive, false negative, and false positive, now let's see what is true negative. So this is a true negative. Here the actual values are false and the predicted values are also false. So if you see, this is the true negative. Here the actual value is false and the predicted value is also false. So this is how the confusion matrix works. So now coming to the 10th question, what is the use of p-value? P-value is the measure of the statistical importance of an observation. It is the probability that shows the significance of output to the data. We compute the p-value to know the test statistics of a model. Typically, it helps us choose whether we can accept or reject the null hypothesis. If the p-value is less than 0.05, then reject